My name is Blair Murphy, and I'm the curator of exhibitions at Arlington Arts Center. I'm really happy to be here today with Maps Glover to talk about his project, Grow with Intention, which is part of our online summer exhibition By Proxy. Our building has been closed to the public since mid-March, like so many places, and we've moved our programming online since then. So we've been doing online classes and workshops. We're gonna have some more of those coming up in the fall if you're interested. And then launched By Proxy, which is our first ever online exhibition in early July. The talk today with Maps is the final artist talk that's taken place as part of the exhibition. We've had a few artists for the show who've been making new work, doing new projects, creating new videos, which has been really exciting. And we've done artist talks with everybody who is in the show. So the show's technically up through September 7th, and the goal is to get all the videos and sort of everything that's launched on the website in the coming week, so that then it'll be kind of up in a complete form. Anything you missed, you'll be able to go back and take a look at. So keep an eye out for that. But like I said, I'm happy to be here today with Maps. Maps is an artist based in the DC area. He creates work inspired by human behavior and pervasive social issues. He illustrates how time affects behavior and how observation alters perspective. He's created work at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, the Smithsonian Arts and Industries Building, Transformer, and more. You may have seen his work around the DC area or online or on Instagram, where he's pretty active. Thank you for being here today, Maps. Do you want to start off by just introducing the project?
Yes, grow with intention. It's so interesting, even as you read my bio and I start to like think about, okay, how relevant are those words even to this particular project now? And even like observing things over time, I think that has played like a significant role in grow with intention. So the project, and I hope everyone can still hear me. My internet is a little bit, you know, temperamental right now. But the project originally was conceived of just because we're all kind of isolated in our own like silos. Blair, I need like a thumbs up or something if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I think your visuals have frozen, but we can hear you.
Okay, we're just gonna have faith on this one.
Okay.
But like I said, the project originally kind of started out as an attempt to kind of think about us moving forward, like what is our role moving forward as artists, and how can we, work with communities in order to put something kind of forward thinking out there. And so I started thinking about something to grow. So in the idea of By Proxy, like what can I do for someone in order to, get people to start thinking about the future and really get people to kind of interact with this idea of growing something, and that it's not just gonna like happen overnight. It's gonna be this like so yeah, that was pretty much the whole idea for it. And so over the course of these few weeks, I guess it's been like a month, 2 months now. It's been really interesting to see all the different intentions that have come in, and really how people have been engaged with the project, and thinking about myself as this medium, helping to tend to the plants and talk to them and tend to the really hold all these people's intentions, all the participants' intentions, and gardening them to growth myself. So that's kind of the whole project in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. And so the process for people who maybe haven't taken a look at it yet, Maps, is sort of there's a form on the website, on AAC's website, on Maps's page, where you can submit your intention, and then Maps, you're growing plants where you are. And then the final stage is that Maps is going to make tea out of the plants, and everyone who has submitted an intention will receive some of the tea, and they can brew it and consume it while they're thinking about the intention they made. And perhaps with the intentions, you're really looking for, it's not so much even just sort of New Year's resolution style things. There's this emphasis more on kind of what people want to do for the community, right? Like that was an important part of it.
emphasis. And when you're dealing with technology, so this says, what is your dream or goal for the future? But it's totally like backwards, right? It's like reverse right now.
No, it works.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah. Because I think it's your like background. It's not. Yeah.
no, because for me it's like really not. But yeah, there
Oh.
are broader questions about how we see ourselves in the future, and then what we'll do together in order to make that happen. And some of the questions are like, how does this impact? How does your intention impact the community? So again, we're thinking about what we personally will want, and then how it'll affect the community, and then how as a community we can bring those things to life. Um, so that was really the goal for it, really thinking about growing something slowly and it being this building process, just really re-emphasizing community as it pertains to what we need to do next in order to get to a new place of peace and connectivity.
Yeah, it's been a difficult few months for a lot of people in different ways. Um, and but the project has a real optimism to it, I think, which is interesting. Was that sort of a conscious, sort of something conscious on your part that you wanted to create something that did have this kind of looking towards the future, like more optimistic
Uh,
undercurrent, if you think about it that way?
I mean, as I've like been tending to the garden, um, it definitely I'm definitely hopeful that these things will grow. So just like in the literal sense, where I'm like, working with really gardening. It's also I do have high hopes. I am speaking positively into these plants. I am, having a very positive, I want people who come into the project to plant intentions into the cosmic space that uplift the community and don't like tear at the roots. So
Mhm.
yeah, it is. There's a lot of optimism involved, and I feel like we need a lot of that
Mhm.
now, especially since it's like at what point do we say like enough? And I feel like that's
Mhm.
kind of where we are at now. Like we're resisting so much to stay alive, and at the same time, there's so many other factors and that play a role in kind of keeping us mentally trapped and like in this box of like don't have hope.
Mhm.
you know
Right.
there's so much going on right now that yeah, I think something like this has been super helpful for people, and definitely helpful for me as I process my role as an artist, and as a member of communities.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how you sort of have to have optimism to grow the plants, just to sort of believe that you're building or growing something, and that it's in a similar way, you kind of have to have optimism to build things for the future, to build movements, to build communities. You sort of have to have a
A tree, look, to plant a tree, you got to be
yeah.
like, yo, come on, you can do it. We can this oxygen, this whatever this resource is going to be for the future. That's what I'm doing. Like it's literally planting a seed, but also this metaphorical seed, and really creating space to talk about the things that we're all kind of going through right now, and the changes
Hmm.
that we, to get us to that place of unity, which I
Hmm.
feel like yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Have the intentions people submitted, like, I don't know, have they been sort of along the lines of what you expected? Have they been, I don't know, is there a like things that have excited you about them, or like been satisfying, or
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't really have too many expectations. I feel like my questions, the questions, were broad enough, but also um, directed people to think in a certain way. Again, like not thinking about solely themselves as they filled out the form, but initially started to think about their own experiences, and then how that experience, like changing that experience, will impact the rest of the community. Yeah, I mean, the way people have identified themselves, I think, has
Mm-hmm.
surprised me more than anything. Some people are like they are writers, some people they're artists, some people they are speakers or healers. A lot of that coming in was super exciting to me. Just kind of thinking about all the different roles that we all play, and how a lot of those roles aren't even identified. And so watching people kind of like uh, submit their thoughts or their dreams or goals to the future, I don't know, it's super powerful. And again, it's made me feel like I've had a lot of responsibility to really kind of hold space for their thoughts and their feelings. And yeah, let me think if there's one in particular. um like a number of them. I mean, there were some that were super specific, just around immigration, which I thought was super cool. People were presenting a lot of different ideas about, being equal and kind of having us being a unified community in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it went from, people thinking about how to address community through like big policy ways, and then other people thinking about it in smaller ways where it's like, I want people to have like a hug every day. And i
Mm-hmm.
and i did this project with a few people just in my circle and their kids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So watching their thoughts on how the intentions could grow, and they gave me like some cool ideas as how I can show the intention growing
Mm-hmm.
and the plant growing. So the project for me is like in the infancy, and so I'm like,
Yeah.
really kind of thinking about how it can grow in the future as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because the project is pretty new. So if you see it kind of like building or, I don't know, impacting, I guess it's something that you'll build on in the future, either in a really more direct way or in a way just sort of that might emphasize, like might impact the rest of your practice.
Yeah, I mean, in DC, there's a lot of community gardens. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking of it, eventually living in a public space where people can come um, and actively interact with. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
um, the wishing tree.
Right. Yeah.
What is that, Yoko Ono?
Yoko Ono. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It was at the Hirshhorn.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I kind of see it in that way, but I want the audience to be able to interact with the plants and then feel responsible for kind of bringing that and nurturing that as a community. It's like we're nurturing like the herbs, but we're also like nurturing each other's hopes and dreams for the future. So yeah, yeah, I see it. Boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that also kind of would bring the project like into physical space because that's something that struck me with the idea when we first talked about it and throughout having it in the show was like it's an online exhibition, but the project is very much about like physical reality, like the literal reality of you growing these plants and then people's experience of getting them, getting the tea, consuming it. Like the online component is almost kind of just it's like a tool that makes some things happen, but it's not really the point. And I think even when we started thinking about doing an online exhibition, like I have been drawn to work that is, I don't know, still in this case, like still exists in the physical world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was definitely a interesting kind of decision to make. Um, like, really, how do I want to manifest these ideas and have people engage and connect to it and experience it in terms of like what it's actually doing, which is like me growing these things, but also pairing it with the ideas that other people come up with. So I'm really like gardening and shepherding their thoughts and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to have to, and it's changed my life in a lot of ways, to be honest. Like I wasn't like I didn't have a lot of relationship to gardening. I didn't have a lot of experience in gardening. So like really kind of shifting my gears and thinking about, how much of my life will be shifted, that I now have to take care of these living things,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing other things to life, I think is super interesting. So yeah, I mean, I I feel I feel like there's so much room for the project to grow. There's so much space and opportunity to, collaborate with other artists and
Mm-hmm.
really kind of bring these ideas to life. Because they're
Mm-hmm.
not even just mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, nurturing other people's, other members of the community's thoughts and dreams and hopes. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of your previous work, at least that I'd seen, was performance and also painting. And when I think your work kind of runs the gamut. But is this one of your? I mean, this definitely to me feels like a social practice kind of project. Have you worked in that way before? I know you've worked sort of on bigger projects that have had like kind of a social practice feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my work, even in performance,
Mm-hmm.
it was very much driven and centered around people, and thinking about how creativity can really like illuminate things that were invisible before. I mean, I worked with Mel Chin over the last 4 years, really
Mm-hmm.
developed um, programs around raising awareness about childhood lead poisoning, which is another invisible uh, toxin that is pervasive in our communities. But really thinking about, yeah, I mean, I think art, as I'm thinking about myself as an artist, I mean, the question, it keeps rising now more than ever, like, what is the role of the artist in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of how do we navigate, and what is the importance? We weren't necessarily considered essential work. Um, but I personally think the work that we do is essential. So like, in way, and then how our lives. So, I mean, this particular project was an opportunity for me to explore ideas that I'd been thinking about, but also it gave me an opportunity to really like jump outside of my
Mm-hmm.
comfort zone.
That's always exciting to hear. I like that. I don't know, with this
Did myself,
exhibition, it
yeah.
was interesting that I wasn't sure approaching artists about making new work, like how many people were going to be up for it. Cause I know it's been a
Everybody's
really,
frozen.
everybody's frozen. Okay. We heard most of, I think your audio was okay. Your
Was that just for
visuals. No, we heard you. Your visuals were glitching a little bit or like frozen a little bit, but
a robot in this box right now?
yeah, yeah, the reality of Zoom sometimes. Or
Yeah, that's soon. The upgrade will commence, so I'll have like some good fast internet, and it'll change my life.
yeah.
It's necessary now, right? We all know.
Yeah, it kind of is, unfortunately. But yeah. Um,
Yeah.
does anybody out there in the audience have any questions for Maps? You can hop on and unmute, or you can also put them in the chat if you would prefer, and I can read them.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yep.
So you're growing these plants to make into tea. Uh, what do you do if the plants die?
Then you go back to the drawing board and you keep planting plants. I don't know. Like there's like an open line. Okay, so this is something that I had to make a decision, like whether I would be concerned about or I just see it as an opportunity. So a number of the plants during the this process did not survive due to like weather conditions and other things like that. I mean, I just want to be transparent with the people who set intentions. Um, and
Oh, Maps. Okay. You are frozen and we can't hear you. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna chat him and hopefully he'll see that. But yeah, that has been one of the challenges of the project because, like Mapp said, um, he is a first-time gardener. So when we first talked about it, that was definitely an issue we discussed. Part of the plan involved he's growing up multiple different kinds of plants, so that we were hoping, by having sort of multiple different kinds of plants going on, it kind of increases the likelihood that if one doesn't work out, others will. Hey, you're back.
We're back. Okay. Yes. So to answer your question, I don't know what part I left off at. But yeah, I just want to be transparent with anyone who set intentions that, some of the plants did die. But just like any goal or plan you have, it never goes according to plan. So, these storms are just a minor setback, and we're gonna continue to grow and produce and keep generating these conversations. But yeah, man, like it happens. And I'm not here to say that I'm an expert on growing or gardening. I'm really just using art to shine light and to open up a window into things that were invisible before. And I think a lot of these people's voices who want to talk about, who are talking about goals and dreams and hopes for the future, and I just wanted to like illuminate those.
Yeah, we are also, if you're on and haven't set an intention yet, we are, you can still do that up at least until the end of the show. That's on Arlington Arts Center's website. So if you go, I'll put the link in the chat actually. What am I doing? And then
So
I
there was
think,
how am I documenting it?
mhm.
Through photographs. And so over the last week, I haven't posted anything, but I plan on flooding the feed. So um, Blair will put down the name of the Instagram in the
Mhm.
chat. Y'all can go on and kind of follow along with what's happening there. And I'm gonna have a number. When you put that date out there earlier, I was like, oh, okay, gotta have those photos. So I'm gonna make sure I have photos and write it literally like what has been happening and give you like a good understanding of what's been going on in the garden.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm gonna put the Instagram in the chat right now. Gonna make sure I got it right. I was also curious, Maps. I kind of mentioned this about social media or the online aspects of the project being more sort of like a tool or like a go-between. It's sort of not the point. Um, but you are, as an artist, pretty active on Instagram and on other social media. Um, and how do you approach those platforms as an artist, especially since your work is so much about kind of human interaction, like one-to-one interaction? I don't know. What do you think artists can sort of get out of those platforms?
I mean, like any of these social media tools, it's just an extension of you, right? Like you're just sharing and allowing people, like creating a dialogue between you, the artist, and the audience, which is anybody online. Um, I mean, I take advantage of any opportunity to kind of be vulnerable in those spaces. And I think I need to push myself a little bit more. I think those spaces work best when you're vulnerable and when you are open and honest with people. So, um, yeah. I mean, I also question that myself. Like, is there a better way to kind of create that experience? But I mean, if we can't physically be together, then you know, the virtual space is really where it's at, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, especially right now, it's become like a primary way for people to connect, whether it's, I mean, social media, Instagram, or platforms like this, sort of experiencing each other through the screen kind of thing.
Town square, you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
just all meet and scream and just reveal ourselves in a myriad of ways, you know. It's true.
Yeah.
If we get any other way, it's just like, look at me, look what I did, look what's happening. I'm here, you know. It's a, you know, I don't know. Maybe that's it. You know, using Instagram as a call to action, as an artist, I've found to be really useful and super powerful, when thinking about how people are interacting with your platform. It's like, okay, yeah, when I come here, I'm gonna be challenged to think about something or challenged to
Mm-hmm.
do something. So yeah, the call of action is always like super powerful, and important to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like a call to action to do. There's always that weird thing. I feel like for a long time, maybe not as much anymore. I feel like this is sort of dated now, but people talked about IRL in real life, as in like social media wasn't real life, but like it was never really not. Like it's always been real life, or it interacts with real life. So
It's real. It's a version of, no, it literally is real life, but it's also like this version, of ourselves, um that's so different than who we are. I don't know, it's so curated, you know, we just are so much in control of it, so it's like, it is what it is. You can find and parse out what parts you like and what parts you don't.
yeah, yeah. When I was talking at some point with Mariah and Johnson, who's another artist in the show, and we talked about the like performative informality of Instagram, so that it's kind of this platform that often people are presenting it as if it's sort of not a performance, or it is more casual, but that's a very intentional presentation often. It's like, how do you intentionally look like you're not trying to be in like too formal?
It's real. I mean,
Yeah.
it's also a lot about the programming of how we're even using these platforms. So like, say for instance, you want to put like a long format video, on your Instagram, and you're wondering why nobody's like looking at it, you know, because we've been trained to like literally just get on Instagram for quick little moments or whatever. It's never like a, I mean, you can get stuck in a rabbit hole, but you see a video, you're like, I don't know, but you can go
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube and be mad you didn't see an hour-long video, you know. So it's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's how we've been programmed to interact with these different platforms, and I think people who are content creators and who are artists are really going to be the ones who drive what type of experiences we have. So maybe, in a year or so, this won't be as far-fetched. It'll make more sense to do it there
Mm-hmm.
than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. I realized Catherine had a question a few minutes ago. She was talking about how much she loves the phases of the project and how there are so many phases. And then, is there a next phase that you have in mind? You talked a little bit about potentially kind of getting it into physical space where people could interact with it.
Yeah. So I've also been thinking about hosting, like a tea party, whenever I'm able to get these, like, the rosemary is going the most strong right now. So whenever I can get the rest of these herbs to like a good spot and I can, you know, make some tea, I want to get the tea off to everybody at least, and have like a tea party, and we can just talk and go around like a Zoom or something and talk about what our intentions are or something like that. So that's really like what I'm thinking about, just like directly next.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other than that, yeah, like, if to get it into, you know, a space where people can actually come and visit or something like that, I think that would be dope. That would be amazing to have, you know, and do.
Mhm. Cool. Well, I'm going to give one more call for questions from the audience if anybody has any last questions for Maps. Cool. And then I'm also going to give one more plug for submitting intentions to the project if you haven't already. The link is in the chat to the page on AAC's website where you can do that. And then let me see, Anne was curious where you live, Maps. You're usually based in DC, but you're not in DC currently, I believe.
I'm in Southern Maryland in the woods. Yeah, I'm deep in the woods.
Yeah, which was a little bit of the inspiration for the project. I mean, you might not have been able to do it in DC.
Yeah, definitely a part of it. And my goal initially was to be able to do this where I could like be in the garden, but the Wi-Fi, as you can see, is not strong enough. So it's just a very limited experience. But I'll be sure to post some stuff onto the Instagram so you can keep track.
Yeah, follow the project on Instagram. If you don't follow Arlington Arts Center on Instagram, you should. We'll be posting some photos from it too. And yeah, thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks to Maps for talking with us and for participating in the show and coming up with the project. Really excited to see how it moves forward. And yeah.
I appreciate the questions and for you setting your intentions. Yeah, thanks, Blair.
Yeah, thank you. And good to see everybody. And have a good night. And hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.